So I thought since I have this awesomely white face that I would do some like red lipstick. It's fun. So let's talk about body modifications, shall we? Speaking of modifying things. Um, yeah, so hmm. Hmm. Well, as you guys all know by now, I'm sure, I have a lot of tattoos. I have both my arms, not the full arm, both my shoulders, I guess, my upper back, my lower back, and we'll talk about that in a second. Both my thighs and my calves, and right over my heart, and my wrist are all done. So, as you can guess, I have nothing at all against tattoos. However, I realize that tattooing isn't for everybody. It's just like anything, really. I mean, some people like. It's funny. This is just something that came up today, but some people like M&Ms with peanuts in them. Some like people like M&Ms without peanuts in them. I personally don't enjoy the peanuts in the M&Ms. Peanuts and chocolate to me shouldn't go together. That's just me, though. Um, so I think that it's funny that that specifically one person was very hesitant about putting their opinion up because, um, you know, I have actually now, well, and let me kind of backtrack a little, and I'm trying to get a lot in one sitting, but um, I went to a pool one year, and this was before I had a lot of my tattoos, and I know I'm totally being a bad influence, but there was this little girl, and kids are usually very enamored by tattoos because they're, especially if they're colorful and stuff, they're like, oh wow, look at that. And a friend of mine, a really good friend of mine, had a tattoo of a turtle on her toe, and the kids love that because they would just point out and say it's a turtle on your toe. Kids really love stuff like that. But I actually had a child at a pool, and she was probably 5 or 6, something like that, maybe a little bit older, and she was staring at me because she could see some of my tattoos, and I actually heard her father walk over to her and say, "If you ever do that to yourself, I will disown you." Now that was insulting to me, because he has his own opinion, and that's great, but to say something like that to his child. And it's kind of sad, and this was kind of mean of me, but my thought right at that moment was, I hope she gets her entire body tattooed and pierced and everything else, just out of spite. And I know that's mean to think that, but I can't help it. I mean, the guy basically stood there and insulted me, and I know he said it loud enough for me to hear because he personally thought it was gross or whatever, and that's fine. I've had that, and I've had all the way to the other end of the spectrum where I've had somebody's husband sit right next to me and tell me how sexy it must be to take off somebody's clothes and find all these tattoos. So I've had the full spectrum of comments on my tattoos, about my tattoos, I guess. So it's really a personal thing, and I think, like I said, I think that goes along with not just tattoos and piercings, but anything really. Because some people like other people with meat on them. Some people like people who are really skinny. I personally have a sort of a skinny prejudice. I don't enjoy the skinny. I don't want my significant other to be skin and bones. And I actually, I dated a guy a long time ago. He was very, very skinny, like 6 foot tall, about 125 pounds. That was a long time ago. But and maybe that's why I'm prejudiced. I'm not prejudiced against skinny people. That sounds really mean. I just prefer my significant other to have a little bit of something to them. Again, that's just me. um, so yeah, and piercings aren't for me. I only thing I have pierced are my ears. I've considered piercing other things, but I just don't think so. I don't think I could take it. Ow. I went with some of my friends when they got their nipples pierced, and that was fun to watch. Well, kind of fun to watch. One of them, yeah, it was hard for me to watch one side of it. It was interesting. Anyway, you just had to be there. But so that was interesting to see. But yeah, I'm not. My ex had a tongue piercing, and I don't like metal on teeth, so that didn't really do much for me. I didn't really enjoy it. They do have plastic studs and stuff though, but those are usually really easy to break. So so that didn't last for very long. Usually it was the metal studs. Um, what else about piercings and stuff? Oh, let's talk about the lower back tattoo. And let's talk about this term tramp stamp, which I absolutely abhor that term. I hate it. The first time I ever heard that, I read it. I was reading blogs and on LiveJournal, and I did a search for tattoos just to see who was out there that liked tattoos, and somebody commented on somebody else's blog about how about the tramp stamp, and I just went off. I'm like, just because somebody and I know it's just a term for it. I realize that, but just like many other phrases in life, you may or may not like the phrase. So I don't enjoy the phrase because my lower back tattoo was very specifically drawn for me. It was tattooed on me by the person who drew it. It it has a significance in my life, and I don't consider myself a tramp. So if you don't hear me laughing about that term, now you know why. But I know, like I said, I know people just use that as the term. Yeah, so I mean that's really all I have on this topic. I love tattoos. I love seeing tattoos. I think that they're art. I think that our bodies are our own, and we should be able to do what we want to with them. And I think the people who say that your body is a temple and you shouldn't destroy it and stuff, I think that maybe um, that's not the way I look at it. I think instead of it being seen as destructive, it should be seen as decorating the temple. So, you always want your house to look better. You put pictures up, you decorate, you do the same. People who get tattoos, I think, are doing the same thing with their body. And like I said too, all my tattoos have a very specific meaning. They were done at a time in my life and with a specific person. Usually, I've never gotten a tattoo completely alone. There was one time when I went and did a sitting for my upper back that it was just me. But a friend of mine went with me to get the rest of it done. So I always have somebody associated with it and some time associated with it. And I have a tattoo on my upper right thigh that's of this knife with a little blood drip off of it. And it's kind of funny because the tattoo isn't all that great of a tattoo. It's not very artistic, it's not very pretty, but me and my mom and my grandmother all went together and all three of us got tattoos together, and that's the one I got. So I've thought about doing something different with it, but then I don't want to lose. I mean, I'll always know it's there, of course, but I don't want to lose that image. And here comes the creepy part. You want to know why I call myself Creepy Chick? Well, I've told my mother this, and she'll back me up on it. I've told her that when I die, if I die before she does, and I've told my husband this as well, that I want them to take my tattoos, and I want them to either frame them or make a lampshade out of them or something. Do something with them, because honestly, number one, there's the meaning behind it, and number two, these things cost a lot of money. So why put them to waste, right? Why just put them in the ground with me or burn them up with me? I haven't decided that yet. Maybe that's another topic. All right, that's it. I'm at 9 minutes and 30 seconds, so I'm going to stop speaking now. And I love all your responses. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.